Chapter 5. Let's see. Chapter 5 was wandering for worth. Do you believe you're worth what God says you're worth? That's what kicked off that chapter, and it's a question I'll ask again. Do you really believe you're worth what God says you're worth? I don't really think we do. I know I sure didn't. I didn't know what he said about me, and so I sought affirmation, feedback, likes, love from any other place that would give it to me. If we're missing the core understanding of whose we are and how that defines our value, we'll look for value in anything and everything. Here's a passage I really loved from that chapter. Page 77. It says, we end up wasting our lives constantly comparing rather than repairing our broken perceptions of ourselves. We don't believe deep down we're worth as much as God says we're worth. And we mindlessly consume the definition of value the world sells us and the propagated message that we need to do more, be more, have more to be as good as the others around us. But from comparison comes the need for affirmation. From the need for affirmation that isn't met comes a willingness to compromise in order to get the feedback we want. And from a willingness to compromise comes our desensitized ability to use our sexuality as a tool to get the attention we want. Since we long for an identity and are terrified of anonymity, we become willing to compromise anything for someone to tell us we're good enough. And it's just true. Ladies, people, men, if you're watching, if we don't know our worth, we'll seek the world to give it to us. And that seeking just sends us into defensive, comparison-based mentality. That seeking leads us to feel insufficient, incapable, not good enough. So then we seek the feedback we want and we start compromising our own purity, our own modesty, our own value. The subsection that talked about sex appeal and false freedom and the way that we abuse it, I just love that Scripture speaks right into that. That Paul calls us out on that very thing when he talks about the fact that, yes, we have the freedom to do whatever we want, but not all things are beneficial. And really, when we try to exercise that false sense of freedom and we lead others into sin, we're not actually loving others well at all. And therefore, we're not actually loving Christ well at all. Leveraging our freedoms, but leading others into brokenness, it's just brokenness that we're actually navigating through. So it's hard stuff, but it's good truths. And it's important that we assess why we're wearing, what we're saying, why we're doing the things we're doing. And if we really do understand our worth, because our worth in the Creator brings us to a place of confident and steadfast knowledge of who we are and whose we are. It leads us into a place where we can truly just rest. Be still. Know that He's God. Know that He loves us. Know that He delights in us. Know that we are more valuable than rubies. But really, it can just lead us into a place of rest, knowing whose we are, not having to flaunt ourselves or seek affirmation from anybody or anything else. And it's a good place to be. We look confident when we live that way. So, questions. Who's ready? Question number 1. In all honesty, this is another self-assessment inventory moment. Where do you seek affirmation? Where do you seek feedback? Is it from likes on social media? I think we kind of all fall into that camp, but is it from your boyfriend? Is it from the guy that's not your boyfriend that you're dying to get feedback from? Is it from your friends? Is it from your family even? Do you need your parents' approval to feel worthy, to feel loved? Where are you seeking affirmation from? Here's a good question. How do you handle yourself when that feedback doesn't come? When the affirmation you're looking for isn't there? What do you do? I talk in the chapter about how modesty and the way we carry ourselves is a direct reflection of what we know about ourselves and what we know to be true. Do you agree with this? Or do you see the two as completely unrelated? Talk about the reflection you see in self-worth, self-value, and how someone carries themselves. Okay, we're moving through the nitty-gritty. We're getting there. Hang with me. More to come, more chapters to come. Let's dive in for chapter 6 next.